With your CIGTV News Update, I'm Jay Earhart in for Donna Bush. In our top story, 2 workers with the National Community Enhancement Summer Program have found permanent employment with the government. In recognition of their outstanding efforts with the biannual work program, the pair began work with the Recreational Parks and Cemeteries Unit at the start of this month. That unit within Public Works is one of the agencies that has hosted work teams during what is known as the NICE program.
We're very excited about the fact that today a number of persons who were originally workers on the National Community Enhancement Project are starting employment with the Public Works Department as full-time employees in the Recreation, Parks and Cemeteries section of the department. These persons were persons who excelled in the program and through a recruitment process were successful in securing full-time roles with the department, thanks to the collaboration of our ministry, our minister, our chief officer, and ministry staff, our director, the manager of the unit, and various persons. We've been able to create opportunities for these persons and are happy to now be onboarding them.
NICE participants and new workers with the Public Works Department, Carol Ann Scott, describes the program as a strongly positive foundation for her return to work.
Been a really great experience working with the project over the years. Enjoy doing the beaches, and we've always had great teamwork, strong workers, skilled workers, and we always managed to get the job done.
Like Carol Ann, her fellow former NICE participant, Raheem Whitaker, has also just signed on with PWD.
Fresh start, it might not be for New Year, but it's a fresh start to go into New Year, right? You know, because I've been employed for the last 2 years now, so this is a brand new step for me again. First job with government, in government, you know, so.
By the time the 2-week National Community Enhancement Project wrapped up at the end of August, workers completed cleanups of more than 65 individual sites. In our final story, we wrap up our conversation with the National Weather Service, which focused on the onset earlier this week of the peak of hurricane season. Director General John Tibbetts had this to say about the current situation in the tropics and the forecast for the rest of the season.
Really, when you get into the second half of the season, it is not too uncommon for us to have multiple storms out over the Atlantic Ocean that the National Hurricane Center, National Weather Service is monitoring. This is not necessarily something that's strange for us. The prediction for the season was an average to a slightly below average season. So until that, we get more updates on that regard. That's what we're thinking about, which means that there are not too many storms left for the season if that forecast is going to hold.
The National Weather Service Director General stresses that it's important to never take eyes off the storm.
You also need to be realized that in the second half of the season, there are 2 parts that are a little bit on the scary side. One is that the favorable formation area for these storms comes in the Western Caribbean in the latter part of the season. And so you might not have 2, 3, 4 days to plan. We see Isaac coming. Isaac is way out. We know what's coming and stuff like that. And we can take our time and prepare ourselves for it. In the latter part of the season, you might not have that luxury. The other part of it is the part that in the second half of the season, we also have that kind of dirty word that you don't want to hear about, and that's rapid intensification. So 1 minute you're looking at a tropical wave or a tropical depression coming at you, next minute you got a Cat 2, Cat 3 hurricane. So sometimes they don't give you enough warning time, and sometimes you're expecting something weaker to come when you're in fact having to deal with a major storm.
Mr. Tibbetts also urged the importance of international and particularly local awareness.
Just stay aware, be aware that and monitor your local sources. National Hurricane Center, National Weather Service, Hazards Management, watch these sites and see what's out there and keep track of what's going on. When it starts to get down to some of the details about the impact in the Cayman Islands, you start to concentrate more on hazards management and National Weather Service rather than the National Hurricane Center. National Hurricane Center tends to look at the bigger picture. The Weather Service will look at the smaller picture, as it were.
To get the most up-to-date local weather information, including radar and satellite pictures, check out the website gov.ky. Well, as always, if you missed today's news update, get all the details on our Facebook and our YouTube pages. And of course, don't forget to tune into Radio Cayman's For the Record and Talk Today's shows. I'm Jay Earhart. Thanks for watching.
Did you know that planning permission is required for a shed? Did you know you should check with the department as a planning and permit application may be required? Did you know planning permission is required to clear land by mechanical means? You should check with the department as a planning and permit application may be required.
Boating, fishing, and water sports in the Cayman Islands are great, but keep a cool head. Here are 7 tips for fun and safe sea outings. Number 1. Use a checklist to plan your outing. Check the weather forecast, make a float plan, and share it with someone who is remaining on land, stating where you're going, with whom, and when you're expected to return. Visit your nearest marine supply store to get your safety gear. This includes signaling mirrors, whistles, and a flare kit. It's also very important to have onboard flotation devices and life vests for each person. There are different types of vests. Some are for water sport activities such as snorkeling, and others are for going on offshore boating or on fishing trips. Number 2. These items can be lifesavers in case of an accident or bad weather. Number 3. Use a motor kill switch, especially if you're boating alone. In case of a leak or breakdown, always stay with the boat until help arrives. If you capsize, an emergency beacon or locator device can send a distress signal to inform the authorities of your location. Larger flares will indicate distress to a boat, airplane, or search and rescue officials. Number 4. In addition to sunscreen, food, and beverages, it would be smart to have a cell phone. Make sure your marine radio works. Cayman's boaters use Channel 16 to communicate. Number 5. Also, don't forget your anchor and sufficient rope. Number 6. Boat operators should be familiar with the local waters and reefs, as well as the capabilities and functions of the vessels they are using. Always obey the rules of the sea and the marine environment, and have courtesy for others. Number 7. Alcohol and salt water do not mix, especially if you're the captain. Some useful contact numbers are 911. The RCIPS Marine Base is 649-7710, and the Port Authority is 949-2055. Smooth sailing, all!
Did you know that planning permission is required for an addition, alteration, or any material change to your house? The 10% rule no longer exists. Did you know you should check with the department as a planning and permit application may be required?